Hello. This is the HOMINOID Part 1 remake. Hey dog, what are you doing? How you been, son? Now, Mr. Dog's got something to say, haven't you? Hey. Come on, give it a fight. Come on. Isn't he a lovely dog? Look, doesn't bite you. He just wants to play. Hey, you don't eat it while I'm holding it. Can you give up? Oh. Come on. Don't you tell Jesse. Don't you tell him. Still got it. Can you give up? Do you want to give up? Go on, oh yeah. Go on, oh yeah. Yeah, just make a noise. Yeah, go on. You know how hard it is to use a camera with greasy hands? Hello everybody. Hope that light's not interfering. I made part 1 earlier on today and I accidentally deleted it. So now I sort of got to try and remember what I said. I've already uploaded part 2 and part 3. Okay, what's the news? Apart from Mr. Dog and me and my 2 boarders, happy couple, boy and a girl. Do you mind? There's nothing down there. Get out of it. Go on, mate, get out of it. Look. Don't give up, do you? Patchwork little bloody puzzle dog. Go on, bugger off. Go and get a job. Don't look at people like that, shove that into you. Anyway, what's the big announcement? Apart from Mr. Dog getting his driver's license, I mean dog license, it's about 1 or 2 degrees, it's freezing cold, and I've got to get, if you go down on my channel, you see I had a poison leg. It's over there, right. Now he goes away and leaves me alone. You'll find it. It's a twit. Now he's coming back. It's over there, you twit. Over there. Threw it on the floor on the other side on his bed. He's got a bed in my bedroom because it's 1 or 2 degrees. I'm not going to put him outside, but he'll get frostbite in his paws. Anyway, what's happened? Down on my video channel, you go down and have a look. You see there's a video down there and it says my leg about May last year. Well, that was stayed poisoned until December and January, and then I finally went up to Ballina and it swelled up again, and then I come back and I went down, and then you know how hard this is to make a video. I got you know who. What? You're not missing out on nothing. Look, there's no more. It's over there. Right. Anyway, so I come back and my leg started working. He found the bone. So it's over there in his bedroom over there. So he's over there. That's his little bed. I put a little bed over there for him. It's just it's an old bed sheet on the floor. That's all it is. Anyway, I took my what was I up to? Yeah, poison came out of my leg after my leg operation, where they finally peeled the last fascia out of my leg, which was sticking the muscle to the bone on the right leg, and it swelled up like anything. I went up to my son-in-law's, my son's place at Ballina, and there's another video that says my leg at Ballina, and then I was saying this is my GP, my doctor. And then I painfully drove back to Sydney. It took me 2 days to get back to Sydney, and then I got bedridden again for another couple of months, and I mean months. So since January, February, March, April, May, and only this last fortnight I've been up getting around. Now a couple of months ago I tried getting up, I couldn't, my legs started to shake and blah blah blah. Went down and had blood tests, I went down and had x-rays, I went down and had ultrasounds, and it turned out I've now got no cartilage in my knees. Yes, no cartilage, and they're full of arthritis. So because when I drove a taxi back in 1997, 2 car crashes either side of my birthday. First one got my right knee, the second one got my left knee, both identical, both times stopped at a set of lights, both times in the first lane. Both cars skidded from the second lane in the wet and hit me up the rear end at 45 kilometres an hour. Not just a bump, 45 kilometres an hour. So they exploded both my knees, which then caused the fascia problems. Well, why the knees weren't detected is because the muscles were glued onto bones in my leg, which means I couldn't bend my leg anyway. But once the muscles come free and I could then bend the joint, I then found out that the joint was no longer there. So then I had to go into the insurance company. They then said, righto, we have to reactivate your account. You go to your GP. Then the GP said, you've got to go find a workers' comp doctor. Went in and paid him $260. Then I had to go down, and he then referred me down to a knee orthopedic surgeon, who actually is the apprentice of the original surgeon who done my knees back in 2000, who's now 75 years old, and he's now his offsider during surgery, because he's now retired, and that's Dr. Stephen Quain. So Stephen Quain at St Vincent's Hospital, Darlinghurst, now retired. He's now the offsider to his apprentice, who's now a professor of orthopedic surgery himself, now 20 years later, and Stephen's his sidekick, as I call it. So he looked at my knees, and within 5 minutes he turned around and I said, oh, so what do I need? Just an arthroscopy? He said, no. He said, you need 2 whole new knees. And I just looked at him dumbfounded, went into shock. And he said, no, what we do is we pull your leg apart and we give you 2 steel plates, one on the bottom of your top bone, one on the top of the bottom bone, and put in a false knee. He said, both knees need doing, and it's workers' compensation. You have to go back to your insurance company. It's several $1,000s each leg. So then I turned around and then went to the insurance company, told them. They then sent me out then a letter. Took them about a month and a half, 2 months. Finally got on to the right person, and somebody sitting here again with 4 paws and a tail, trying to get my attention because I'm talking to you. He's going, oh, in the background. There he goes, he's walking off. And they now sent me down to a orthopedic surgeon for the insurance company, who's also said, yes, you definitely need 2 new knees. And that was on the 18th of June. So then 3 days ago, they turned around and said, we're still waiting for the report. The insurance company said they're still waiting for the report back from their doctor to give the okay. So once I get the okay, I then get 2 artificial knees. So that's why Mr. Hominoid has not been out making videos, because I can't walk. And that's why I've been stuffed up since, let's say, May last year. So there you go. So this is why I'm having this big long 3-story channel of Mr. Hominoid Talks Openly. So you can go down and you see my knee at Ballina, and then you see my knees below that where I said the stupid real estate agent wanted me to go mow the lawn, and my legs are swollen. Yes, and you can hear Mr. Dog. He's still walking around the room, and now he's finally leaving the bedroom. No, he's gone. Good. Anyway, so that's happening. So then I looked at this house here, this workhouse of mine, and I thought, I'm only renting it, and I've had enough of Sydney, I've had enough of the COVID-19. Every time, like now, some 4 people come over or 6 people come over on a cargo plane from from Pakistan. They come up, got off the airplane. It was a cargo plane, not a passenger plane. They never got quarantined. They got into a rental car. They went and stayed in a motel for the night. They infected the hire car driver, who then infected the next lot of passengers that got into his car for the rest of the day, however many that was. And then he caught the train home from the city of Sydney, in the heart of Sydney somewhere, out to the southwestern suburb of Campbelltown. And of course, in a double-decker train in Sydney, there's 40 people can sit in the top carriage, so all 40 people then got infected. And then those 40 people all then went home between Sydney all the way out to Campbelltown, including Bankstown, Padstow, Liverpool, Lemire, Ingleburn, Hoxton Park, Leppington, and Christ knows where else. And now it's spread everywhere, and now it's spread right up here into St Mary's and Mount Druitt. And it's a Delta virus from India, because obviously Pakistan is next door to India. So thank you very much to the Pakistani airline company that ships cargo. So now everybody here in Sydney, Australia is locked down, must stay at home. Only one person allowed to leave the house. Must wear a mask in the shop. Only one person can leave the house per day to get in the shop, the chemist or the doctors, or somebody else who lives with you has got to go to the doctors, but that's secondary. You can go for a walk in the park by yourself. If you go out with your housemate or anybody else in the car, you both got to wear a mask each. Even though you both live together, you both got to wear a mask if you go out in the car together, which sounds absolutely ridiculous, which it is, because you're already living together in the same house. So if my flatmate, a housemate, went out with me in my car, him and I both have to wear a mask, and yet in the house we don't. So you tell me that, just stupidity, and I had my COVID test. I went down and got a COVID test. We don't get the ones like they do in America, and they shove it right up your nose. They take a little swab just here, right underneath the nose here, and in the mouth. Anyway, I come back negative because I don't go out of the house anyway. I just work here at home, and I can't work anyway, actually, because of my knees, like I just said, May last year. So that's why you haven't seen me for 14 months on the road, really, except for those 2 little short videos I did there the other day under the COVID, and I went over to the local grocery store in the car by myself, and that was it. So it's thank you very much, Pakistan, you screwed Australia. So I've had enough of all that. So we're in lockdown for approximately another 6 weeks. Very tight. There's nobody walking past the front of the house except for somebody who goes to the local shop. There's hardly any cars on the road. This house is on a main road. If anybody knows where this house is, has seen the old videos and worked out where I was. I'm on a main artery. I feed 5 different suburbs, goes off this road, and usually hear car and bus and truck and everything else. And now, as you can hear, there's a couple of cars now just going past for the first time in 5 minutes. That's how dead it is. Couple of videos down, you see I'm in St Mary's. Go down and have a look at that. You see how many people are in the main street of St Mary's on a Thursday lunchtime. It was or Wednesday lunchtime, I think it was, and it was bugger all. I think it's about 20 people in the whole main street of St Mary's, which is a major town in west of Sydney. It covers a lot of suburbs coming to St Mary's to do their shopping, and there's only 20 people in the main street. There's nobody on the buses, but the buses are still going to run for people that do got to go to work, such as construction workers, hospital people, nurses, nurses are going to catch a bus to catch a train to go into work at a hospital, or say construction workers or whoever are still exempt to go to work. Construction workers aren't qualified as high risk category because they work on a construction site and they can keep a 1.5 metre distance. Whereas people here in Sydney, if you work in a, say, a second-hand clothing store, no, they've got to close because they bump into each other. And that's about it. So everything's shut down. It's like a ghost town again. It's actually worse than what it was a year ago. So I've had a gutful of that. So I've now made arrangements. I'm moving house. Yes, I'm moving. I'm moving back out into the country, going back out into the bush. I'm not saying where I'm going. I'm just going bush, and I'm taking my tractor and my truck and my 6 cars in the backyard, which most people don't know about, because that's why I'm calling this Mr. Hominoids Talks Openly. I'm not going to go into it. I'll show them when I get to the new place. I'm not going to show them I'm here. And of course a little white putt-putt, and it's going to be a lot of work's going to be done before the COVID lockdown finishes to get everything ready to go. Got to clean out garages, got to clean out the house, get rid of all the garbage in here, to sort stuff out, which is perfect with COVID-19 lockdown, because then people can't come around annoying me while I'm trying to do something. So as they say, take a disadvantage and turn it into an advantage. So of course, and because there's not a lot of people going down to the auto electrician because they're all staying home with COVID, the auto electricians are not doing very much. I can say, for example, take a car down there to get done, and the truck or whatever. You see what I mean? So a lot of businesses are hanging out for work. I went round to a panel beaters there the other day, and he had 2 guys just standing there doing nothing because people are just COVID scared. And you go into Coles or Woolworths here in Australia, and there's about 10, 15 people in there, and the rules are you're not allowed to go in there and loiter. You've got to walk straight in there, grab your shopping basket or trolley, get exactly what you want off your list, get it and get in, pay it and get out, and don't hang around the shopping centre. You're not allowed to sit down inside the shopping centre and eat the takeaway foods. You've got to buy it and go. You're not allowed to hang around. You just got to bugger off home. So that's what's happening down under. So I've had a gutful of that. So it's several hundred kilometres getting out of Sydney, out of the what I call the COVID-19 lockdown zone. And in the new property, the backyard, I'll tell you this much, I've got kangaroos. Yes, real live kangaroos, wild ones, horses and cattle. And it's a very small town, and the local pub also has the post office. That's how small a town it is. It's got the post office in the pub, the local hotel. So in America, it's like your old-fashioned cowboy western saloons. That's what we call a pub. Over there in America, you might call a hotel something like the Ritz-Carlton. Over here, a hotel is where you sit down behind the bar and have a beer, like you see in Cheers. That's called a pub. This particular pub in this town, 2 stories, wooden poles, big green tin roof, so to speak, and on a half-acre green grassy lawn block. 1 bus stop either way, 1 school, next to a main highway, no trains, and away from everybody. And if you want to do your grocery shopping, you've got to drive 20 minutes away to the supermarket, which means a lot of city people don't even know this place exists because they drive right through there and they blink and they miss it. So the city people go for a drive out of Sydney, say for a 3-hour, 4-hour drive out west, and then they come back, they drive through this sort of town and they would blink and they'd miss it. That's how small it is. It doesn't have any major, it's just got 1 pub, which has also got the post office, and that's it. It's not even a petrol station. So very isolated. But I can get to how can I phrase this without giving anything away, a city out in the country. It's classified as a city. I can get on the local bus from around the corner from this house where I'll be. In 20 minutes, the bus will take me into that city. So how's that? I'm out in the country with the kangaroos. I get on a bus for 20 minutes and then I'm in the heart of a country town city. Let's say Dubbo, Lithgow, Tamworth, Wagga Wagga, something like that. 20 minutes away from the city, right? So that's where I'll be, out there. 3-bedroom brick house, wood fireplace, quarter acre, half acre block, overlooks the kangaroos and the cows and the horses. It's already got internet. It's got satellite dish as well, Foxtel if I want Foxtel. And I think I've also might have access to the 50 acres next door. I think the owner of the property, it's another workhouse I'm going to be renting, and I think he owns the property next door, but I'll be checking all that out on Monday. This is now Sunday, 6:30 at night, so I'll be finding all this out. So the trucker, the tractor and the 6 vehicles, the 2 trailers will be leaving here. Yes, it's going to be like an armada convoy, if you can imagine it. A truck with the tractor on the back, and the 2 cars in one garage, now the 4 cars down the back, and the 2 trailers and the canopy and right on lawnmower and tractor. So yeah, already said all that. And then everything else in the house and all the workshops. So yes, big bickies. It's going to cost me several thousands of dollars to move, and I'm not telling anybody where I'm going because I'm sick and tired of people knowing where Mr. Hominoid lives here in Sydney. And 1 or 2 people come past, oh, hi Mr. Hominoid, how are you? And it's just annoying. I don't want my Facebook being involved, sorry, my YouTube life being involved with my personal life. And at least out there, I can do my train tracks, I can go out there, I can travel to all the disused railway lines that I do, which is 26 of them, a lot quicker, because then I don't have to drive an hour and a half to get out of the Sydney metropolitan area. I'm already out in the country, and this particular town I can go north, east, south or west, and I could be down the other end of the state within six hours. Whereas if I leave Sydney, it takes me 8 hours, or 12 hours. So I'm not giving anything away. It's got a very funny name of a town, that's all I'm going to say. It's a very, very funny name. It's an Aboriginal word, actually. That's the only clue I'm going to give. It's the same as Wagga Wagga, which is an Aboriginal word, but no, it's not Wagga Wagga. It's like Woolloomooloo in East Sydney. It's a town that's called Woolloomooloo. It means pretty place by the water. That's what that means. So this town's also got an Aboriginal name, and it basically means picturesque of green mountains. And that's where I'll be. I'll be up in the mountains, and you can look down the valley and see the kangaroos and the horses and the cows, and I can see a highway in the distance. So you won't be able to see me from the highway, but I can, from the angle of the roads, I could be at the bus stop down on the highway. Even with 2 artificial knees, I could be there within about a 15-minute walk. So that suits me perfectly. But it's on such an angle, you can't see my house. It's just great, fantastic. So Mr. Dog will be going out there. He's never been out in the country. Mr. Dog was a abused dog, and he grew up on a 2.5 metre long lead, and he was starved and he was ill-treated. Then a lady got him. These people drove out and said, oh, we dumped a dog in the backyard, you want to go and get him? So they went round and grabbed Mr. Dog and took him to the vet. They spent $1,000 on him, and the woman could not understand that the dog was traumatised from being starved and mistreated, that Mr. Dog then bit the daughter's hand because she stupidly, because he'd been starved for 2.5 years, put 2 bowls of dog food down side by side, one for her dog and one for Mr. Dog. And of course, then once he gulped his down, he tried to eat the other dog. She tried to stop him, and he nipped her. But she didn't understand that he'd been starved for 2.5 years. So she blamed the dog. So they put him up for free, and I got Mr. Dog. And I got him out of that by giving him 5 full bowls of dog biscuits constantly, which then took his apprehension away about being starved, his trauma, his paranoia about being starved. And now, as you've just seen on the beginning of this video, Mr. Dog, I can sit there, give him a chicken bone and have a tug of war. I can stick my fingers in the front of his mouth and play with his teeth and hold him by the teeth and play with him. He's the most friendliest dog there is, because I de-traumatised him over the last 3 years I've had him. So that's a pat on the back for me. looking after Mr. Dog. And I think you will like that. If you like that, me looking after Mr. Dog, thank you, give me a thumbs up. The tractor and the slasher is going to be well used out there because it's a big block of ground to be slashed, which means what's the point of owning a tractor and a slasher if we can't use it? It's already got a 15 amp power supply at the back, so I don't have to worry about connecting all that from my welders and whatever else. And there's all my country friends are out there I know, and apparently I got 6 cousins I've never met. Yes, I've got my cousin, one of my cousins I haven't seen since he was 7, who's now 53, and then he's got his kids, they're out there, and they've got their kids. So I've never met them. That's how long since I've seen them. They're up the road. So hopefully I'll be making contact with all those actual cousins on my father's side, my father's brothers' kids and their grandkids. Yeah, I think that's right, yeah. So it's going to be a bit of a family reunion on different days. They're about 100 k's away or so. But anyway, that's it there for me, Mr. Hominoid. This is part 1. So yeah, leaving Sydney next couple of after coronavirus, and I'll be setting up the security cameras set that I got in there, $1,000 worth of cameras, and I'll be putting them out there, and I'm going to work out how with the, oh yes, I forgot to tell you, there's the big 65-inch TV, and I bought a new computer, 1 terabyte, and my boarder now lives here. He's going to arrange somehow how to live feed the camera stream. So please like and subscribe and share this around. Live stream out in the bush, and the cameras will be filming out in the bush, so you might be able to sit there and just click on the channel or the however they do it. I don't know, don't ask me anything about it. I know, look, I just spend the money, they do the work, right? That's a simple way to put it. And live stream and my film live kangaroos, I'm sorry, live, obviously they're live, I mean wild kangaroos in my backyard or something like that. Or might catch a kookaburra, might catch a possum doing something stupid, or whatever, out in the bush, or me feeding the cows and horses if they come up to the fence line. And it's going to be a total different life from living here in the city of Sydney and away from all the traffic and these buses and these cars and these idiots that come around and ask me stupid questions. Like the other night, 10 o'clock at night, pissing down rain, COVID lockdown, and this guy comes around, knocks on the door, he said, oh, can I borrow an air compression hose? I haven't seen the guy for 3 years. He didn't say where he was going to take it. He didn't remind me his name. He didn't want to leave me his phone number. Nothing. He just expected me to give him a 10-metre long air hose to pump up tyres. I said, well, what are you going to pump with? It's a hose. You need a compressor. He didn't even say he had a compressor. So I have no idea where he was going to with it, what he was doing with it. And I just said, sorry, I don't have one. They stole it. And that was the end of that. I just pissed him off. He hasn't seen me for 3 years. I was sitting here crippled, poisoned leg. No one gave a crap rat's backside about me, so why should I give a rat's ass backside about them? So I'm going back out in the country where I grew up. Country people in Australia do care about each other. They come around, they check up on your neighbour. Oh, hello neighbour, hello, let's say, Bill, Peter, how are you? G'day, Tom. I know a little story speaking Australian, and a lot of people sit there in America. I know it's like on NCIS, I say, hey, Gibbs, or yes, whatever, and they call, in America, you call each other by your last name. Well, if you do that to an Australian, you'll get a filthy look, because we don't say that. We say, hello, John, hello, Bill, hello, Peter, hello, Michael, hello, Kathy and Sue, or we say Mrs. B or Mrs. C or Mr. D, Mr. R or Mr. H, or we say Mr. Smith or Mr. Brown, or g'day mate, or a father, if he's got his young son with him, and because I'm an old man, we'll turn around and say, son, you ask old mate. And I would be referred to as old mate because I'm an older man, and I'm his mate. So a father would introduce his 9, 10, 12, 16-year-old son, 18-year-old son, who obviously the father then's obviously about 40, I'm 60. He would say, go and ask old mate, O-L-D, mate, M-A-T-E, old mate. So we talk totally different to America, and a lot of Americans find it very confusing how we say g'day, which is a G apostrophe D-A-Y, or g'day, which is G-I-D-D-A-Y. G'day means good, hope you're having a good day. That's g'day, right? And g'day means hello. So G-day means hello, and g'day, hope you're having a good day, or hope you have had a good day. Right? So there's a lot of misconceptions of the Australian slang. Now, if you really want to understand this one, how's this one for brain teaser? If you're in America, Germany, or France, or somewhere else around the world watching this video, and you hear the Australian song called Waltzing Matilda. Waltzing Matilda, waltz, and we go, waltzing Matilda with me, up jumped a jumbuck, right? A jumbuck. Now, what is a jumbuck? Can you work it out? Right. Okay, the word jumbuck simply comes from the word male sheep, because how do you make, what does a sheep have? It has wool. And what's the first thing your settlers made in Australia with wool when it got cold? They made a jumper, a jumper, like you wear when you get cold. Jumper, jump, right? A jumper. We say jumper, not jumper. We say jumper. And a male sheep is a buck. So therefore, when you see sheep, you jump off the back of a truck or a railway carriage in the old videos, and you watch any old Australian video, you will see sheep jump over other sheep. They will jump over the top of each other along with the cattle dogs. The Australian blue cattle dog or blue heeler, as we call them. So therefore then it wasn't called jumper ram or jumper buck. So therefore then it got shortened down to jumbuck. And that's where the name jumbuck means a male sheep. So I hope that gives a little information. That's how Australian slangs come about. A billy, if I said to you, can you go put the billy on? You say, what is a billy? Now, Billy is short for the name William. No, we had a product out here in Australia called Billy Tea. Our Billy, tea, like tea and coffee. And what they used to do, we never had coffee here in Australia. We grew up on tea between 1800 to 50s and 60s. It wasn't, I was born in 1961, so it wasn't until late 60s, early 70s when they started having coffee such as